Is your family?
No, we're sticking to negative right now. this in a minute, but does anyone want to volunteer a group and just share their problem? Tell me the root causes, tell me the trunk problem, what are the fruits? Anybody want to share? Because I'll pick somebody. It's either volunteer or victim. Okay, go ahead, Angela.
They want to share. They want to share.
Oh, so we got you, then you. So we'll do this. Okay, so you can go next, please. Okay.
So the problem is anxiety and depression, and the root causes are negative social influence, lack of public support, and moving on, peer pressure. The results will be violence, the crimes, the substance abuse, teen parenthood, mental issues, and the accident.
Those are the fruits, right? Okay, so now that we know our problem, okay, so really quickly, I want you to do another tree. But this tree, we're no longer going to have the problem, we're going to have our goal, our vision in the community. So if homelessness was the problem, we want affordable housing, right? So what are my objectives? So if I know the root causes, how am I going to flip it? Right? And then the fruits are going to be long-term stability, right? Better health because I'm no longer living on the streets. So does that make sense? So you have 10 minutes to do that. So it's a new tree, but now you have a vision. So the trunk is now your vision. But the roots are sort of the objectives. How am I going to get this vision? And now that I get this vision, it's a positive thing that will come out of this. Sort of like an objective. So I'll give you an example. Objectives can be very specific. Give it a numeric value. So I want 10 families to have affordable housing. How am I going to do that? We're going to build the building with 10 units. So you can number it, give it a numeric value, because that'll make it more realistic. Because we're not going to end homelessness for everybody in, a matter of a year. So when it comes to problem solving, you got to bring it down to a realistic level. So MTA, you might want to pick a line, the N train, right? Because we have to be realistic about this thing. Because we want to change the world, but it's not going to happen overnight. So we got to tackle one thing at a time. start wrapping up, guys. We gotta keep Okay, how many people are finished? I know we have one group over here that's finished. Anybody else finished? You got two? Okay. All right, so we're gonna have to stop it there. You guys can always pick it back up. Anyone who's done willing to share, because if not, I'm gonna make you share anyway. So, you wanna share? Okay, just project.
Our topic was farm solution because most of the people are going west to river and anywhere, especially in our country, it's happening a lot. So our mission is that don't throw the waste away, recycle for a better day. And for that, we are gonna create a clothing company using the recycled materials to come up with, new clothes that people can wear and recycle.
Okay. So the good thing is social impact funding, you can use the money to put it towards.
And also it's going to be cheaper to get the materials since they're just doing nobody today, and then we can create some job opportunities.
We got some entrepreneurs over here. Some entrepreneurs. Did everybody hear what they said? Okay, so basically, they picked pollution as, that was the problem, right? So the solution is to take materials, recyclable materials, create a clothing line that will have a social impact aspect, and they will use the proceeds to work towards initiatives that will promote recycling, clean up, and things of that nature. I think that's a really cool idea. And what you need to do is hone it in though in terms of numbers and say we want to get rid of this much garbage per se, tons or whatever metric system you want to use. So just and put deadlines like by this time we want to do that, and just make it more realistic though, because you got to start small. Anybody else wanting to share? Didn't you finish over there? No? Okay, I'm curious, MTA, what did you do? They picked MTA as a problem. We all know MTA is a problem. Yeah, they need to hear you though. Sure.
So what is my initiative is to reduce the delays on the E-train. So what is the measurable thing is that if the state actually allocates the correct amount of budget for the MTA, like actually the Port Authority or the House of Assembly. So the action plan, what I will do is that we will like conduct surveys, actually taking data and saying, oh, what is the actual problems with the train, like, sick passengers and delayed times. And what do I want to accomplish? So I want to accomplish improved services in MTA. And how long this will take? It will take about a year to propose this policy. making sure that we get everyone's concern addressed and get this addressed in the media and get this implemented on time so people can commute to work, school, or any place essential on time.
Yes, better than that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so Jason told you, or you should have heard, that I served in the Peace Corps for 27 months. I just got back December 1st. I was a youth development volunteer. So basically, starting doing community service here in the United States really instilled a passion in me to then want to take it internationally. So Peace Corps has 3 goals, right? Our first goal is to learn about the host country we go to, learn about the people, the language, the culture, the food, right? And the second goal is to teach our host country nationals about Americans, that we come in different colors, we may speak multiple languages at home, we might eat different kinds of food, and I think internationally, a lot of times people have this concept of what an American looks like. So just seeing Americans that practice different faiths or are people of color, things like that, it sort of broadens that perspective, that interaction. And that's the second goal. So the third goal is to come back to the United States and tell Americans about our experience, about the host country nationals of the country that hosted us. So I was a youth development volunteer in Peru, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about that experience really quickly. So I just told you about the goals, so we can keep it moving. All right, what do volunteers do in Peace Corps? 5% work in agriculture, 11% community economic development. So if you have a background in any of those, econ majors, it could be business majors, education. You don't necessarily have to have a teaching degree, but I taught English, for instance, and I don't have a teaching degree. Environment, those folks who are interested in environment, there are a lot of initiatives to help the environment, health, and youth development, which is what I do. Peace Corps serves all over the world. The Caribbean, go back. So the Caribbean, Latin America, North Africa, and the Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe and Central Asia, Asia, and the Pacific Islands. So spread out all over the world. So I was in Peru, and I was.
This is the name of the capital, so I was roughly 12 hours with no traffic, 10 hours close to this city, which is Trujillo, and I was a little more inland, in a rural town called Ascope, that basically the main profession was agriculture, so farmers for the most part, is what we would find in my town. Peace Corps has 3 programs, 4-ish, because one of them was eliminated. So economic development, water, sanitation, and hygiene, which also fall into the environment. Youth development and community health. So there is my cohort. I don't know, could somebody spot me out in that photo?
Yes.
You see that handsome devil right there with those glasses? That is yours truly. Who are we? We are professionals with college degrees. So you do have to have a bachelor's. It's not a requirement like on paper, but all of the positions will tell you that you need a bachelor's degree. So my journey started about 10 years ago when I was searching online. I saw that I wanted to do something internationally, and I saw Peace Corps required a degree. So I was like, I need to go to school. I always had Peace Corps on the back burner, and fast forward 10 years later, I'm coming back from serving. So when I was talking about having that fake it till you make it mentality and that law of attraction, I always talked about Peace Corps like if it was like a given. Like when I serve in the Peace Corps, when I leave, when I get accepted, always spoke in a very positive, intentional way. And so I really do think that that whole mentality or that motto is very, very, very effective. Next. That's me when I got sworn in. You actually have a country director. It's a government agency. It has benefits in terms of like when you come back for an entire year, you have, it's called non-compete eligibility for certain federal jobs. So when I apply to a job, I'm pretty much guaranteed an interview if it says it's a non-compete position. So I got here December 1st. That week I applied to a job. The next week they verified my eligibility. Then I had an interview. Then I already had a final interview. Now they're checking my references. It's looking really good. So I've literally been here about a month, and it pretty much looks like I will have a job in DC lined up. So that's one of the perks. You do get funding for like readjustment. So you get $10,000 just to reacclimate into society, because a lot of people gave up their apartments or their cars to do Peace Corps for 27 months. But that is a perk. Also, for people who want to do things nationally, AmeriCorps is a great option. It's also a good resume builder for those people who didn't listen to me and didn't do internships. AmeriCorps would then be another option. They give you a stipend and they give you money towards your loans. So you would get a scholarship to pay towards your loans, because a lot of us have student loans even though we don't really need them, but we still go and take them out anyway. So AmeriCorps is an option if you don't want to leave for 2 years, which is a big commitment, and I understand that. So my program had two main goals: develop the abilities for the world of work and increase youth participation in the community. So I basically worked in schools for the most part, and I worked in institutions that had youth initiatives. So it was very grassroots, which is why you have to be there so long. It takes about 6 months for like people to get used to you, to believe that you really want to help, or that you don't think you know it all. You also have to do this research component. It's like you do surveys and sort of figure out what the people in the community actually want. It's not like you go in and you say, this is what you need because I know what you need. No, that's not how it works. It's like, what are you trying to do? And I'm going to try to support you as a resource to achieve these goals, basically. And some of the activities we did. So, like I said earlier, I like old people more than kids. But after 2 years of working with kids, I kind of like them now, like a little bit. So I also think it made me grow as an individual and evolve. I mean, leaving the comfort of your home, not being home for the holidays 2 years in a row, missing out on birthdays. I mean, it takes a lot of resiliency, and I think it makes you a stronger person. I mean, I do not regret Peace Corps at all. I will do it again in a heartbeat. And though it's challenging, but I think it's made me such a stronger person and better for it. Sustainability is a really important theme right now in development, because a lot of times, like I said, when I went to the Dominican Republic, you just go for a month and then you don't know what happens, right? So there needs to be this capacity building, like I said earlier, that teach a man to fish component. Like, I'm not just gonna come here, help you, and put a band-aid on it. I need to teach you or like help you figure something out, so that you can keep doing it once I'm gone. And that's what is the most important part of development, is that sustainability component. I think I'm just gonna try to fly by here. This is the town I was in Ascope, La Libertad. The town did not have a lot going on, but this is like the square, the center. That was our Times Square, basically. So I talked about some of the challenges, taking cold showers, not having internet, losing electricity. I mean, things like that, things you get used to. But there were cool parts like integration. Like for my birthday, they have this thing called La Hora Loca. You basically get to act a fool for an hour. They also like to dunk your face in cake. So there's that. That's me with my face in cake. I had a really cool host family, so that I'm sure I'll keep in touch with probably for the rest of my life. They were amazing people. My host mom was really involved in the community. She loved to dance. She was like a beauty queen at one point. These are really cool people I got to work with, kids that I got cool with. I taught English. I tutored this one kid in English. Just really cool experiences. No, 27 months. So when you go to the post, you get trained for 3 months. A lot of times people don't speak the language, so you need like a basic, they claim it's intermediate level, but they kind of get you speaking a basic level of whatever the language is. And then they also work on culture, like sensitivity, because sometimes you might, I'll give you an example. In Peru, it's very common for someone to ask you, how much do you make? How much do you pay for rent? Why aren't you married? Things that in the US we would be like, huh? Like, I don't know you like that. But it's very common over there. So they just want to get you prepared for these interactions so you're not offended and you know how to deal with sort of being, so I'm not going to come with my mentality and try to impose it on you, especially because I'm in your country. So they work on those skills for the first 3 months. You do observational learning, you do like a practicum. So you go out and for me, I would go teach lessons and they would teach me how to teach those lessons and sort of just tell me what the youth of Peru are like, what to expect, what kind of problems do they have, which are very similar to the problems here. I mean, like drug abuse or like drinking, alcohol abuse or teen pregnancy, similar issues that we have in the United States. So, but yet how they interpret it, right, or how they see things. So it's very important. Those first 3 months are really intense because you basically have 8 hours of classes and practice for 12 weeks, which is different than school because you know how you have class for an hour and a half, then you get a break in between, or then you go have lunch. So it was way more intensive. But then the pace changes so much when you get to your little village, right? And I got to travel all over Peru. It was amazing. It's a beautiful country, an amazing culture. You get to experience so many different foods, dance, music. It was an extraordinary experience. And that's just me in the classroom. So this was like a little cultural exchange. We had like a campfire, and I got to teach the kids about s'mores, and basically it's summer when it's winter here. So Christmas it's hot, like super, super, super hot, like 90 degrees. And then we're like having a campfire and drinking hot chocolate. But it's cool. It was a really cool experience. Let's see. And now we're doing that. So another opportunity while I was in Peru, Hurricane Maria happened in Puerto Rico. And my family, my mom lives in Puerto Rico. I have some aunts, cousins, a sibling. So it really hit home. Like it affected me a lot, especially because I was so far away. And then I'm like, I'm here trying to help Peruvians, which is great, but like my people are suffering. So what can I do? So I basically harassed the Red Cross, and I was like, you need to send me over there. And what was really good, and it's sort of like the stars aligned, and I really believe that when something is meant to be, the stars will align. Like you get those signs, right? Like, so for the first time, the American Red Cross was having a partnership with Return Peace Corps volunteers. So meaning Peace Corps volunteers that had completed their service. But I was an active volunteer, right? So that didn't apply to me, but I didn't care. I was like, I'm going. So I kept emailing people till I got to the right person. And she's like, well, you're still a Peace Corps volunteer, it doesn't apply. I was like, well, you're actually gonna let me go, and I'm gonna tell you why. So what ended up happening was I got evacuated while I was in the Peace Corps because there was extreme flooding, and I had to change my home of record. We got evacuated for 5 weeks. I had to go to Puerto Rico.